The geostrategic implications of Iran's election playing out across the region and far beyond. By now, you've probably heard that this man, ultra-conservative cleric Ebrahim Raisi, will be Iran's new president. His election on Friday already causing geopolitical ripples, along with big questions on the status of the Iran nuclear deal. Raisi laying out Iran's objectives in a news conference today and throwing the onus for restoring the deal to its original parameters on the United States, saying the US must return to the deal it withdrew from in an expedited manner. Raisi speaking out on the deal after the latest round of talks to restore it wrapped up in Vienna. Negotiators returning to their home countries for instructions, and officials from both sides are now speaking out. The top EU official chairing the talk saying we are closer to a deal, but we are still not there. Iran's top nuclear negotiator voicing similar sentiments, saying we are now closer to a deal than at any time in the past, but it doesn't mean that we are there. Well, America's national security advisor commenting on Raisi's election on CNN. Have a listen.
The person who makes the decision about whether Iran will go back into the Iran nuclear deal, will assume its nuclear obligations under international law, is not the president of Iran, it is the supreme leader of Iran. And that person did not change from before the election until after the election.
Well, Israel's new prime minister with a blunt warning to world leaders about Iran's government. Naftali Bennett saying it's, quote, the last chance for the world powers to wake up. These guys, he says, are murderers, mass murderers. We've got reporters all over the map for you covering this story tonight from Tehran, Jerusalem and in Washington. Fred Pleitgen, first up, is in Tehran, where he questioned the Iranian president-elect at a news conference today, connecting us now from the capital. You had the opportunity to put a question to Ebrahim Raisi, the president-elect. What did you ask and what did he tell you?
Hi there, Becky. Well, this news conference was for Ebrahim Raisi to explain some of his policy, things that he wants to do to both the domestic and, of course, the international press as well. And it was quite interesting because the sense that we got is that foreign policy is going to play a big role in this administration. We have to keep in mind that Ebrahim Raisi essentially was elected into government mostly because the economy here is obviously not doing very well, also because there is a big need, as many people see it, to fight corruption. Those are certainly things where he said there was going to be some of the emphasis, but he certainly also said that Iran is going to have a very, very forceful and very active foreign policy as well. And it certainly looks like, from what we heard today and what I heard from Ebrahim Raisi, that the U.S. is going to be in for a pretty tough ride. He was asked by one reporter whether or not he would ever sit down with the U.S. President Biden, and he flat out said no. No explanation, nothing. He just said no. I asked him whether or not he would actually talk to the Biden administration possibly at some point, or if his administration would, or if he would be willing to accept at least negotiations for something like an expanded nuclear agreement. Let's listen into what he had to say.
First of all, sir, thank you much for taking our question. You've already told us how you feel about a direct meeting with President Biden. But would you be willing to talk to and negotiate with the Biden administration? Would your administration be willing to do that? What do you expect of the Biden administration? And how do you feel about the U.S. proposal for a possible expanded nuclear agreement that would also cover Iran's ballistic missiles and also regional issues as well?
My serious proposal to the United States government is for them to return in an expedient manner to their commitments and do away with sanctions. In doing so, they would prove their sincerity. Regional and missile issues are not up for negotiations.